Welcome to School of PE podcast. I'm your host, Chris Miller, and I'm so glad that you could join me this week. We are going to discuss topics about FE, PE, and SC, and we're also going to answer questions that will help students prepare for their exams. Let's get started. All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of School of PE's weekly podcast. Again, my name is Chris Miller, and today I have a special guest here with us today, Miss Sidney May. So let me just bring her on and let's give her a little bit of a welcome and let's kind of let her introduce herself. Sidney, welcome aboard.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be a part of this podcast. So as Chris said, I'm Sidney May. I'm licensed civil engineer. My specialty, my passion is transportation, all things transportation, from roads and pavement, geometric design. I am a newly recent business owner, so I work for myself as an engineering practice, Sidney May PE LLC. So that's a little bit about me. I am from Birmingham, Alabama as well.
You're not a Roll Tide fan, are you?
More than just a Roll Tide fan, Chris. I'm actually a graduate of the University of Alabama.
Oh, I wish I would have known this a few years ago when I brought you on board.
Oh,
no. Being from the Buckeye State, we haven't had the greatest experience with the Alabama Tide. But anyways, I'm happy to have you, Sidney. I think you've been with us for, over 3 years you've been teaching for us. I know you started off as teaching on-site classes for us. I believe you started with LA, City of Angels, great place for you to begin. So it's been a good run. Kind of share some of your experiences that you've had with teaching for School of PE.
Well, I'm a former student of School of PE myself. It took me quite a bit of time to work down my nerves to actually pass the PE exam. And, I found myself there needing some additional help. So I kind of got into the School of PE brand even years before I came on board, Chris. And I think I got an email from you reaching out for, some assistance in teaching. And you told me you had an LA class. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy, out of the box. But, I want to do it because I've really got a passion to teach. And I really have a passion for civil engineering. So my first experience, I thought I did a great job. But little did I know, I think I shared this with you, Chris, several times. Some of our reviews can be, kind of brutal, but, at least honest and gives us room to improve. So I've come a long ways from where I started.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree, but the good thing about the evals is they help us improve, not just both from the instructor perspective, but also our course improvement. When the sessions begin, we run the on-site and we also run the live online. I'm always checking these evals, and it's not because I'm teaching, it's because I'm like, well, I help put these teachers in place, but also I want to see, sometimes we mix things up. It's kind of nice to see how the students are reacting to them. So, our session just ended for the PE for this spring session as the exam started today for 3 of the depths. So I was checking those reviews today, just seeing how things are going, making sure students are, prepared. But it's, what makes it so nice to have an instructor like you is that you have a passion for teaching. That's not something you can teach somebody. And it translates into how the students receive you as well when you're teaching. So it's nice to always have your energy, always looking for ways to go above and beyond. So like I said, it's been a great ride with you. But not only have you taught for us, you've done many other things for us as well. I know you went from teaching the breadth portion of our civil exam course on site to teaching the transportation depth. I think you've even helped author our transportation depth preview guide. So you're kind of all over the place with us. So what is it about engineering that just draws you every day?
I think it's the ability to be able to serve mankind on a larger scale, So, what I love about civil engineering, we kind of manage and construct, design, there are so many different aspects you can get involved in engineering. We do that on that major infrastructure level, and it's always mind-blowing to me to see, people in my profession. I'm like, we really built that bridge, or we really, constructed or built or designed that building or that road or that pipeline or infrastructure and made actually life better for, our fellow mankind.
Oh, very good. No, I completely agree with you. So, like, what is it like? Did you find out like when you first went into engineering? Did you know exactly what you wanted to do, or did you have to kind of dibble dabble in a few things before you found your niche?
I mean, I did. It was kind of one of those roads. Growing up, I did not know what an engineer was. I knew that, okay, I love to be outdoors and, get into like the environment and playing outside for all hours of the night and dirt and things like that. But I didn't know what an engineer was. It was, where I'm from, it was either you become a doctor or a lawyer. I knew one that I didn't like to, litigate or argue that much, or two, I don't want to have to operate on people or give people shots. So I'm like, well, what do I do? So I'm this kid that's good in math and science. So I won't say I fell into it, but as I started learning more about it, I was like, this is for me. And for me, it just stuck immediately. Like I did an E-Day at the University of Alabama. I know that makes you sad, Chris, but
It does.
I did my first real E-Day, and it was something about that concrete canoe. The students were building, doing the competition, that just kind of drew me in. I was like, this is the place for me. This is what I want to do, because I can be both, an office person if I so choose to, and I can get out in the field and get into problem solving on a construction site.
Oh, very good. Now that's exciting. So, I mean, when a lot of people, at least, years back when they first think of engineering, they think of it as pretty much a male-dominated arena. But that's not the case anymore. So, can you kind of share your experiences as being a woman engineer and some of the experience that you've come across or faced throughout your career?
Well, one thing's for sure, Chris, you have to, at some point develop tough skin. Obviously, if you're going to be a female out there, with hard hat and boots on, and you want, and it's sad to say, you want someone to, take you seriously, you got to kind of develop a thicker skin. So, there have been challenges, but I would say that the benefits of doing what I do and being in the position that I'm in have certainly outweighed a lot of the challenges that I have faced. And plus, I try to, have a little bit more positive outlook on things. But I have left meetings and in silent tears. I really have. So.
I believe it. I believe it. But yeah, you found your way in engineering, and like I said, not only do you practice, you teach, so you're helping your fellow engineers get their licenses. I mean, I know you've done the FE for us before as well, so you're helping them just get their feet wet in their engineering path. What kind of advice would you give someone that's looking, So, I mean, if you think about the FE, it's a big spectrum, right? You have some people that are coming fresh out of college, so all those subjects are kind of, still fresh to them, and so the FE exam might appear to be a little easier for them. But then you have some people that have been in the engineering industry maybe 10, 15 years before they even think about taking their FE. And I get people all the time ask me, hey, I've been out of class for 15 years. Is this the route for me to go? So how would you approach that?
For me, and I'm not just because, I work with School of PE but I am, a proponent of, having that extra, those extra resources in place, especially if you've been out of school some time. I think our instructors are great. I learned from all of our instructors before I came on board, just kind of experiencing, or just getting the experience on what to expect on the exams and becoming more familiar with the material, because there are publications out there, and like you said, if you haven't been in school a while, you just got all these different things thrown at you, like the mechanics of solids, the chemistry, the statics, dynamics, that can be very daunting and overwhelming. So like I said, I would do the tutoring, and I would advise them to do take the classes and work as many problems, and kind of even still network within the industry, so you can, help supplement whatever is missing. So it's engineering is a team sport to me a lot of times.
I agree. And one of the nice things about engineering too is there's so many things you can do. Like
Yeah.
you said, you could build bridges, build buildings, work on, traffic signals. So, I mean, it almost an endless array of opportunities for engineers. Things change every day, which is great. And, we rely on these engineers to stay up with everything to make sure that, codes and standards are being met. So, but yeah, if you're going to give someone some advice, that is just getting started, first day on the job, what would you say to them?
I would have to say, I won't say forget everything you learned in college. No, you are going to use some of that and apply it to, certainly a lot of your designs. But, it's just kind of like be prepared, be open, Definitely mentor as much as you can, shadow, develop, friends and network within the industry, because you can't know it all. You know what I'm saying? There are going to be challenges, there are going to be problems that, you've never seen, but hey, there's somebody that's out there that's been doing this 25, 30 years that I can call on, that's, within my network and within my circle of friends. And that really, has proven beneficial, is proving beneficial to me in my career today.
That's a lot of good advice. So, I know you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, and we've spoken before, you did work before for, an organization, and then you decided to go out on your own. What made you want to kind of go out on your own and start your own business?
I've kind of always had that desire. I do have a love for business, so I don't share it with as many people. But I had a class that I was really struggling with. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that struggle with statics, and I, couldn't make above a 23 on the exam my first time taking it. So I was like, well, let me go over and do some business or some marketing or something else. So I've always had that passion in the back of my head. And I did a podcast a couple weeks ago, and she said, well, that business gives you the opportunity to, express your creativity, while, the engineering gives you the opportunity to, stay concrete in your, in your thinking and in how you solve problems on projects. So I would have to say it's kind of like I'm just living in my passion. So that's my story.
No, it's a great story. And, the incredible thing is, it's one thing to work a job where it's 8 to 5. You
Right.
go in 8 o'clock, you go home at 5 o'clock. But when you're running the show, your own show, it's tough. It's no 8 to 5. It might be
No.
8 to 8 or 8 to 10. But, the amazing thing is you still find time to take on all these additional projects.
Yeah.
So what drives you to take on all these other projects?
Again, I would have to say that, it's my passion. My mother was an educator, so she really instilled in my sister and me, it was just two of us, really early on, like, get your education. You're going to do your work before you play and all that stuff. So I've kind of always been like a little worker bee anyway. But I'm sure, yeah, a lot of people can speak to that experience, being overlooked for promotions, or, somebody telling you who you are, and what level you can, really operate at as an engineer, as a professional. So this gives me that opportunity to, operate at the level that I really define for myself.
Very nice, very nice. Well, hey, Sydney, I appreciate you stopping by today and chatting with me. And, it's always great to talk to you. And, I hope you come back. I hope to have you back on another episode, and we can dive into some of these other various topics that we call engineering.
Oh, absolutely, Chris. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Until the next time, Sydney, I'll talk to you soon. And the rest of you, we'll see you next week.